our lives. So, and I thought that was, not acceptable because children can't come in and read where their grandparents went to school at, or their aunties or their uncles.
Right.
And I know my grandmother went to Patton Lane, so there's no record of that. But I felt it was very important for us to gather information, for us to know exactly what went on, know the history, and know the legacy that all of you guys leave behind us. And that's why we're here now.
Okay.
I'm not gonna talk much. I'm gonna switch it over to the people that are gonna do all of the history giving and all of the facts that we're gonna have. And the first person is Miss Betty Carlin.
All right.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Right. Before we show the PowerPoint presentation that I developed, I believe that it is necessary for us to, one, recognize the teachers that taught us. Mr. Percy Bruce, Mrs. Catherine Hyde, and anybody old. Miss Lorene Johnson. Anybody else here that taught at Patton Lane? Before we do the PowerPoint, our guest speaker is Mr. Percy Bruce. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. I won't hold you long. I made out 20 pages.
All right.
I might cut it back to 15. Miss Hyde asked me how long would I talk. You know, I'm a history buff.
We hungry for all of it.
Yeah, we won't go back to 1619, but let's come on up to 1860.
Okay.
Something happened in 1860 that changed the world. Who can tell me what happened? I can tell you. Abraham Lincoln was elected president. And what happened after that? The war came. The institution of slavery was challenged. Let me run back a little further. The Republican Party was formed in Wisconsin, I believe, 1854. 1860, Lincoln was elected president. Didn't have a chance. He was a dog horse. He wasn't supposed to win, but God stepped in. God did it. Abraham Lincoln was elected, brought on the war. Guess who fought in the war? Black soldiers fought in the war. They won medals. They helped us win the war. We won the war. And I want to mention another historical date. 1863. The war was going our way. We were winning. Guess what happened? Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And about a few months after he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, quite a few blacks in the South were free. They school started. People were learning. Guess what happened? A young lady was born. Somebody know who I'm talking about. Ida B. Wells was born in 1863. Shortly after Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And Lord, what a lady she was. She learned quickly. And guess what happened? In her young days, the yellow fever epidemic came on. She lost her mother and father. She lost her brother. That didn't stop her. She kept working with her siblings. She continued to work. And she was smart. She attended Russ College. I'm glad of that. And at the age of 16, she had to take a test, Ms. Robinson, as we do now. She had to take a test. She passed the test. She became a teacher. She rode a horse from her father's farm to school on a mule. Well, I said a horse. She rode a mule to school. And she made a promise to her students. And this is what her promise was. I will never fail. I will never turn back on a challenge. That was a quote. I will never turn back on a challenge. So she went on to become great. She got in trouble by telling the truth. Got in trouble by telling the truth. So she did some work in Memphis, writing articles and all. And you know, the power structure got after it. So she left Memphis and went on to Chicago and did a lot of work up there. And I was just thinking about the days when I was in school, when I grew up. Now she started teaching when she was 16, and guess what? I was about 17 when I started high school. That's true.
Amen.
The older children went off to school, and the closest high school to us then was 25 miles away on a gravel road. That was OTS, Oxford Training School. It was a popular school, but my brother and I, we were next on to the oldest three. We had to pick cotton. We had to pick cotton. When I started school, I think I was 7, might have been 18. But later on, after my brother, oldest three went to school in Oxford. Later on, they built a school in the community called Patton Lane. Not Patton Lane.
Batesville Colored.
No. This is out in Etta, Mississippi.
Yeah, where he came from.
Spell it with a
Fairfield
capital
County.
E, E-T-T-A. I don't know if you can find it on the map or not. That's where I grew up.
I don't
This
have
school was
30.
Liberty Hill. It was about 3 miles from where I live.
Okay.
And we didn't have a car. We didn't have a wagon. Guess what?
Had 2
I
feet.
walked 1 mile
1 mile.
to catch the bus. In the cold, in the rain. It didn't stop me. I think it was in December when I started the school because we had to get the cotton out. But anyway, about 2 or 3 years later, I got a letter in the mail.
Uncle Sam.
Guess who it was from?
Your uncle.
Uncle Sam. So I went in the Army before I finished high school.
What?
That's right. I served 2 years. Went to Korea, went to Japan. When I got out, well, I was a junior when I went in there. When I went in junior in high school when I went in service. When I got out, I was able to go to OTS. It was a popular school then. It was popular. We didn't have a gym, but we had an auditorium. And I remember every Friday, we'd have assembly in the auditorium. And the seniors would have to speak. Mr. Gooden, an Alkanite. Mr. Gooden was an Alkanite. Guess what? My English teacher was Alkanite too. I didn't forget that. They had an impression on me. Mr. Gooden was a good man. Smart man. He used to sit down and talk to us. In other words, I could see the white of his eyes. No, this something came up during the War of Independence. The general told, don't fire until you see the white of their eyes. Well, I could see the white of Mr. Gooden's eyes. He took an interest in us. He would tell us about graduate school. He went to Atlanta University and got his master's in administration. And he said that he didn't have any trouble with anything but French. Oh, Lord. He said he had problems with French. He had problems with French. And he said when he took the test, he prayed, and he passed it. So he telephoned his wife, Miss Gooden, told me he had passed his test. All right, so he graduated from Atlanta University. And now let me go back to my high school days. As I said, when I was a junior, when I came out, Mr. Gooden worked with me. My grades weren't good. My grades weren't good. But Mr. Gooden was working at Russ part-time, and he helped me get in. I don't think I had a C average. He helped me get in. Those professors at Russ, I had the first two professors I had at Russ were women. A course in world geography and a course in community health. I never forgot that. They worked with me. They worked with me. Those professors worked with me. I sat with students who had come from better schools than I attended. And guess what? When I finished, I had a B average. I had a B average. I worked. When I left this latest class in world geography, I left that running to the library. I had to get it. But anyway, I graduated in '59. I went 3 years, summer and winter. I finished in three years. In '59, you listen to this now. This is true. I filled out one application. A friend of mine typed it, Cunningham. I was looking at his picture the other day from Aberdeen, Mississippi. Sent it to Mr. Hyde. The rest is history. Just one application. Mr. Hyde interviewed me. Oh, he was kind. He was kind, generous. I was impressed with him. He talked to me. And he carried me over to cleaners, West Side Cleaners, Mr. Perry Douglas. He carried me over there and introduced me to Mr. Douglas. And for the next 10 years, we had a close relationship. Mr. Hyde worked with me. The first year I started teaching, I was young. I thought I was young. I was pretty old then. I was in my 20s. Some of those jokers tall as I was. And they didn't want to listen. But all I had to do, call Mr. Thomas. All I had to do was call Mr. Thomas. He didn't play. Camel son. And Mr. Hyde stuck with me too. So I got through my first year and I made it through. Let me tell you, when I went to Batesville, it was the Batesville Colored High School. One brick building. Mr. Hyde was principal. And we had some more teachers there, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Evans, Mr. Atlas, a few more, Honest Smith and all. But anyway, it was a good school. We had some good students. Came out in 60, 59, 60, came out in 60. So 60, they had the new school ready. Patton Lane, 1 through 12. 1 through 12. I said I was going to mention this, Plessy versus Ferguson. Some of you remember that. That was the case that Homer Plessy appealed dealing seats on the train. Separation, separate but equal. Separation was the races then. He sued the federal government, but he lost. But guess what happened? Brown versus the Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, reversed that decision. So you know what that's all about. So after this particular case, May of 1954, the South got busy building schools for blacks. They got busy. Batesville Colored High School did not have a gym. Had to play on the ground. But after the Supreme Court decision of '54, they got busy and started building schools for blacks. Now they built, Patton Lane was a big school. It didn't have yeah, we had an auditorium.
A genitor.
And we used it for gym and auditorium. But it was a good school. I enjoyed working there. We had some good teachers, Mr. Evans, all of you remember Mr. Evans, Mr. Thomas. So we had a good school. We had football, we had basketball, we had choir, we had a band, Daisy. We had a good quizzing team. We competed with the teams in Memphis. We won. What else? We had it all. We had it all. And we had some good students. A lot of our kids went to college. In 62, about 5 or 6, class of 62, about 5 or 6 of those people went to college, and they done well. So it was a good school. It was a good school. But let me go back a minute. The first name that was given to that school was South Panola Training. You know what that was all about. Most of the predominant black schools in the day were training schools.
Yeah, that's right.
OTS was a good school, but they had to put T in there. Training. South Panola Training School. We finally got them to change it to Patton Lane. What a blessing. So I'm just so happy to relay a few facts with you. We don't make any apologies for that, for Patton Lane. No, it was a good school. It was a good school. Some of the people that I taught are here, and they have done well. That lady right there, Miss Wilson. Can't think of her man.
Wallace.
Stand up, babe. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. You're not gonna stand up?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the people that I taught, stand up. Stand up, Daisy. All right, all right. Yeah. This was the Wilson family. All of you remember the Wilson family, a big family. There was about 12 of them, right?
Well, you missed a few.
But anyway, you didn't have any problem with the Wilsons in class. I guarantee you. They were good students. Thank y'all for standing up. Now, this man right here, we were in graduate school together at Ole Miss. We had Dr. Bagat, and Pearlie did some typing for me when I was in graduate. All right, we had some fun. We had to do a research paper. We had to do a research paper. Here was China and the bomb. I never forgot that. China and the bomb. So we had a lot of fun. Mine was on something else. I got an A out of it though. But anyway, I want you to please be proud of our heritage. Be proud of our history, because it's worthy. It's worthy. It's rich. I didn't think that I would live to see a black man elected president, but God did it. God did it. He ran against a good man too. I didn't think he had a chance, but he won. He won. He was prepared. He was smart. He was reared by a single mom, I think. Yeah. So singers, don't look down on single women, women without a husband or what have you. They can do it too. Yeah. President Obama went to I can tell you where he went to school. He went to Columbia. He left Columbia and went to Harvard, to law school. When he got out of law school, he moved back to Chicago and started community work, working with the poor, disadvantaged, and built up a coalition, whatever you call it, a group of people. He ran for the state. His first office was the state legislature in Illinois, state position. Then went on up, ran for the Senate, won that. The first time I saw him on TV was, I think 2004. I believe that's right. And 4 years later, he was elected president, 2008. That's how fast he moved up. Yeah, and while he was working in Chicago, he met a brilliant woman, Michelle. Guess what? She was a Harvard graduate. So we have a lot to be proud of. God did it. The creation story. I like to talk about that all the time. God did it. As Adam said, God didn't make any junk. Everybody had to have everything had to have a name. So I think I've about covered everything that takes in Patty Lane, Batesville Colored High School, South Panola training, then Patty Lane. We had a school song, Patty Lane, blue and gold, we love thee. Yeah. You know why they closed it? Some people didn't want to come into our neighborhood. And, you know the story. But anyway, let me say this. Mr. Hyde was a smart man. I can tell you, after Patty Lane closed, he was the treasurer of our credit union. He was the bookkeeper. That was a lot of work. He always had it right. He always had it right. He was smart. He was dedicated. Yeah, I really admired him. And now, getting back to this lady right here. I heard about her before I came to Batesville because she went to school with my oldest brother and two oldest sisters. She was Catherine Myers in high school. They said she was pretty. Yeah.
They say she was.
I'm dead. Hold it. She still is. She still is.
Yes.
Hold it. Let me tell you something else. They said she was pretty, she was smart, and she had long hair. I remember that. I remember that. That's before I started high school. I won't tell you how long that's been, but I remember. Then when I came to Batesville, I got a chance to know her. She was Catherine Myers, Catherine Hyde then. Yeah, I think I had a chance to meet her father. I think I did. I came in '59. Is that right?
You did not Robert Miles, but not the Robert Miles on.
I'm telling you, your father. I think I had a chance to meet him. I think.
I'm not sure about that.
I believe I did. But anyway, we have a lot to be proud of. Please. Any questions that Reverend Jones was one of my top students. Come on over here, Reverend. But anyway, oh, I forgot something. In 1865, the 13th Amendment was ratified. You know what that did?
Right to vote.
The 18th Amendment was ratified in 1865. In 1868, the 14th Amendment was ratified. Now, y'all supposed to know what the difference.
Yeah, we do.
How many of you know what the difference is?
I don't remember. The 13th was free, the 14th was citizens. Yes.
You get an A. Yeah, the 14th abolished slavery. 13th rather,
Right.
abolished slavery. 14th citizenship. What about the 15th? Right to vote. All right, any questions? I might have skipped some, but I think I touched on the important parts. That our heritage and our history is viable. It's strong. It's strong. Proud of it. Proud of it. And of course, I'll sit down with this. During, the period after the Civil War was called Reconstruction. All right, Lincoln was assassinated. And his vice president was from Tennessee. Johnson was from Tennessee, and didn't expect much from him. But the Congress passed the Reconstruction Act over his veto. And you might have read about martial law. Martial law, that means that the military was in control over the South. All right, during that period of time, black people exercised their right. They could register, they could vote, they held office. My cousin, Blanche K. Bruce, I know a lot of you read about him.
Yes.
He served in the county government in Tallahassee County, right down there. So during that period of time, we exercised our rights. Well, something happened in 1877. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Hayes
Yeah, they're abandoned.
pulled the troops out of the South. There we go again. There we go, Jim Crow. Jim Crow. Jim Crow. Jim Crow. Separate but unequal. They were saying separate but equal, but separate but unequal. And that was the case until May of 1954 when the case in Topeka, Kansas. And as I said, they get busy building schools for blacks, try to make them equal. Anybody want to ask me a question? Let's see. I think I've covered most of the stuff. I know you heard a lot about Reconstruction. That was a good period for blacks. Yeah, schools were set up. 2 schools I know were set up during Reconstruction. Fisk University in Nashville and Russ College in Holly Springs. I told you about the pandemic, the disease that hit the community during the yellow fever, killed a lot of people. Well, her people lived around Holly Springs. They had a farm, and she rode the mule from the farm to school to teach. Anybody want to ask me a question that I might be able to answer? Did I confuse somebody? Yeah. Yeah. I tried to be peaceful, calm. I didn't want to raise a storm. No. Especially when I went to the integrated system. Tried to be, even-handed, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to raise a storm because I knew it wouldn't last. Something else came across my mind. I had some notes. Yeah. I covered all that. Yeah, Mr. Duggar was a good friend of mine too, Perry Duggar. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Hard-working man. Hard-working man. I think I've covered everything.
Mr. Bruce.
Reconstruction, yeah.
As I remember back then, L. Stacey Davidson was the superintendent.
Yeah.
Were y'all ever told don't be involved in any of these social, civil
Yeah.
matters? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We, during the 60s, it was hot. They shot in some folks' houses, burned some crosses and all that. But we had to stand guard at one of our friends' house. They shot in his house. We stood guard.
So y'all's jobs were,
On the line, yeah.
if you got involved.
Let me say this. Some of you might not know this. When I started teaching, you had to sign a form saying that you did not support, that you were not a member, nor did you support the NAACP. How many of you remember that?
I've heard of that.
Yeah. If you even if you supported the NAACP, shoot, you would be fired.
Yeah.
Yes, law. And if the police would stop you, they'd check your wallet. I don't think some of them could read, but they check your wallet. They check your wallet. Want to make sure. Want to make sure that you were not a member.
I receive.
That you were not a member of the NAACP. Now, when we went up to the South Panola on the high, we didn't have that problem. No. Any questions now? Any questions? Some of you might wonder why blacks don't support the Republican Party. No, it has changed. It's not the same anymore. It's not the same. It's not the same. I won't mention what's going on now, but it's not the same. It's not the same. President Carter was the last Democrat to carry Mississippi, I believe. That was in 76. Ever since then, Republican. They say the Democrats are too liberal. And of course, the last 4 governors in Mississippi have been, yes, sir.
Don't forget to tell them about that football team we had here.
The football.
We had the best football team.
Yeah, we had football. Yeah, we had football. Yeah, basketball. Yeah.
We've got all that on the
I
PowerPoint.
just want him to.
Yeah. All right. Anybody want to ask a question? But not, I'll get out of the way. Did I cover everything pretty good?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming, and I want to just let you know that the PowerPoint is really just a snapshot of the history of our school. Cheryl Johnson, myself, and a few others are working on the full history of the school, from when it first started in the city of Batesville to the time frame that it closed in 1970. It's going to take us quite a while to do this. Cheryl wants us to finish before the end of the year, but we will see. This is really just a snapshot of the school through its iteration. First starting with the previous name, which was Batesville Colored High School. That lasted until
1960.
Batesville Colored High School, yes, about 1960. I'm going to go through some of the pictures before we talk about, but this is a picture of the school as it was constructed around 1960. Go to the next one. This is a painting by artist Ralph Bledsoe. Barbara, are you here? Barbara's husband. This is a side view of the school. What I want to let you know is, if you want to look at all of the black schools, including the elementary schools in Panola County, go to the Mississippi Department of Archives and History Digital Archives. It's actually, you can actually go to the website. And if you look at their digital archives, you can go down to the schools. And they have pictures of all of the school buildings. And in some of the schools, the elementary schools as well as the high school. And they have pictures of some of the classrooms, some of the students that went to elementary school. But this is not going to be a history of the elementary schools. It is only a history of the Batesville, our Batesville, South Panola, Patton Lane High School. When Cheryl and I and some others work on this, we're going to bring the elementary schools into it, the schools that fed into the high school. Here's another view of the school. This is a picture of the high school cafeteria when the principal was C.P. Boyles in the early 1950s. This is the Masonic Lodge that serves as a classroom in the 1940s and the 1950s. This is the clubhouse. You might not be able to see that well, but if you go to the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, you might be able to see it a little better, but not much, because they're distant pictures of the school. This is a combination classroom of the high school in 1950. Mr. Bruce, do you know what the combination classroom was? Nobody could tell me.
Not before I came.
I'm assuming, Ms. Hyde, do you know what the combination classroom was? I'm assuming it was more than one classroom.
Yeah, it probably was.
Prior to the late 1940s, Batesville Black School was an elementary school. Here's a picture of the old building classroom in the elementary school. And the elementary school and the high school were connected later. And this is, like I said, this is a picture of the classroom. This is a picture of Johnson College. Both elementary school children as well as high school children had classes in this building. This was before they actually built the high school in 60. This goes back to the 1940s. The first principal was Professor L. Austin. This is one of the last pictures of the high school before it was destroyed, before it burned in the 1970s, early 1970s. The first principal of the high school was C.P. Boyles. A good picture of him. Mr. Hyde was the last principal. This was him. He was principal from the late 50s to 1970.
20 years.
This is Mr. Arthur Carter, and he was principal of the junior high. I just learned yesterday that when Crowder closed, Mr. Carter taught at Crowder. And when Crowder closed, he came to the high school. This is Mrs. Elizabeth Draper. She was the elementary school principal until she took over as the Gene supervisor. Does anybody know what a Gene supervisor is?
Yeah. They were the county teacher.
Yes.
Countywide teacher.
Yes.
Supervisor.
Yes. I kind of researched it, and I found that African-American teachers who worked in rural southern schools and communities between 1908 and 1968 were called Gene supervisors.
Right.
The name was derived from a Philadelphia philanthropist named Anna T. Jeans. And she was known for funding education of blacks in the South. There were about 2,300 Gene supervisors who worked in 16 southern states. She actually gave $1 million to help the community schools in the South, the black schools. She made Booker T. Washington and Hollisburg Fitzell. She appointed them to actually take over the funds, and what they did was they appointed a group of trustees. The Gene supervisors were, the way that they chose the Gene supervisors was they were typically a classroom teacher chosen by the county superintendent for leadership qualities and skills in teaching the industrial arts. And it was later that the Gene supervisors really did more than that. It was not just the industrial arts, but it was all of it wasn't just agriculture or sewing or, home ec. It was really all of it.
Right.
And later on, it was all of the subjects.
Right.
One of the things that I did read about the Gene supervisors was that they helped raise the money for, I wrote it down and now it just escapes me.
Was extracurricular activities?
It was a little bit more than that. It was to build they raised the money to match the guy that helped funded the Rosenwald schools.
Yeah, okay.
So they matched the money that Julius Rosenwald
Right.
Gave to the communities to build the Rosenwald
I
school.
believe we had one Macedonia.
Macedonia was a
Rosenwald
Rosenwald
Yeah,
school.
it was.
I know they
Rosenwald
had
school.
one.
Here is a picture of in 1965 of some of the teachers. I do want to let you know that I took this picture from a book that Mrs. Draper's daughter, Marva Draper, and her husband, Charles Hobbs, did. Here it is right here. They did a reunion in 2007. They have a lot of pictures in here from the 40s, from the 50s, of the students, classes, the schools, some of the elementary schools. So if anybody, they're gonna have it up here in the library. If you want to get a copy of it, they will have it available for you to make copies of it. Here are some teachers in the 1950s through early 60s. I did have their names, and I wanted to try to identify them. You can't see all of them very well, but this is Mrs. Henley, and I was told that her husband was a gym teacher. This is Mrs. Martis Battle. Mr. Ernest Smith, Mr. T.C. Reese. The second group is Miss Hattie C. Baker. I don't know whether she was a Miss or Mrs., so I just put Miss. Mrs. Frances Duggar. Mrs. Louise Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Mrs. Grace Smith Love. Most of you know Mrs. Jeanette Hilliard Thomas, Mr.
Yeah.
Thomas's wife.
Yeah.
Mr. Oliver, Miss Elizabeth Ritchie.
Sarah Love.
Most of us know Mrs. Lowe,
Yeah.
Sarah Lowe.
Yeah.
And this is Mrs. Minnie Pinson.
Yeah. Okay.
All of them are in this book.
Objection. Yeah.
It's Klein.
Yes, this is Mr. Gentry. All of these pictures, or most of them, were given to me. I called, I got on Facebook and asked people, give me pictures, give me information, and they came through. A young picture, go back, a young picture of Mrs. Lester.
Deborah Lester. She wasn't. Almost skin is I don't know what.
Mr. Overstreet,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mrs.
Thompson.
Thompson,
Yeah.
You had.
Mr. Porter,
He taught me
Yeah.
English.
and of course, Mrs. Hyde. And this is Mrs. Helen Johnson.
Yeah.
Huh? Ooh.
This is the Batesville High School girls basketball team in the early 50s.
Wow.
I only know 3 ladies that were on the team. I can only point out the picture of one that I recognize. This right here is Mrs. Christine Morris Franklin.
Wow.
2 more people are on there that Mrs. Franklin's daughter gave me this picture. And she told me Miss Lisa Beam was on it, and the other person, the name escapes me. But I did want people to see what it looked like in the early 1950s.
Playing without a gym.
Yes. This was in the paper, so if anybody wants to go and take the paper from, this was 97? This is the first football team. It's about 1955. It is, even if you go and try to get it out of Panolean, you're not gonna be able to see it very well. But I was able to point out my 2 brothers.
All right.
This is Percy Caldwell, and this is Fred Caldwell. There's some McDaniels in here. A number of, pardon?
Otis Morris.
Yes, Otis Morris. It actually tells you on here who all of the people were in this particular picture. This picture is also, I believe, in here. I got this, I think, I added this because there wasn't a baseball team at the school. It was community.
Yeah.
That had the team. And this was Mr. Willie Mathis. I think this is Floyd right here. I believe they told me not Saul Hobbs was in here. A number of the old guys are in this picture. This was given to me by your brother. No,
Earl.
Earl.
Oh, okay.
Earl gave me this picture. He got it from Scott Kincaid. And in that picture, we have Robert Lee Jones right here. You can hardly see him. This is my brother, Joe Willie Caldwell, Scott Kincaid, Thomas Arthur McDaniels, and sitting is Winston Kirkendall, John Morris, who we call T, Will Anthony, and Leo Kirkendall. I think that, didn't they call him Blue? Okay. Now, he wanted me to tell you about the 1962 championship football team. They were honored at South Manola Games in October 2022. Gloria, you took this picture?
I took a lot of them.
You took a lot of the pictures. I'm going to try to name them in order. This is Jimmy Allen. This is my brother-in-law, Willie King. Will Anthony. Guy Henry. George Lee McDaniel. Jimmy King has his, Willie's brother, Jimmy has his head down. Larry Key. Claude James. Nelvin. Billy Key, right here. And this is Mr. Kitchen. That's not all of the team. That was the ones that were here in 2022 to actually get their picture taken.
They're right down the football team.
Pardon?
They're right down the new football team at South Manola.
Yeah.
It's the football field, I mean.
These were, I tried to make sure that I got all of the teachers that I could. I am not going to name all of them. They are in the PowerPoint presentation. I have made a PDF version of it because the PowerPoint is so big that it's hard to send. Anybody that wants the PowerPoint, I'm going to put it in 2 places on Facebook. I'm going to put it on our school site, and I'm going to put it on, does anybody know the Facebook site that Deborah Lou Gardner made? I'm going to put it on that. If you want it and you are not on Facebook, if you have an email address, we'll get a piece of paper and you can write down your email address, print your email address, and I'll send it to you. Another group of pictures in the yearbook of 68 of teachers. I think you will recognize some of the faces.
Oh, yeah.
Our band teachers.
Yeah.
He had us in those hot uniforms.
Yeah.
This is how we had to march
Yeah. Yeah.
like that. Mr. Thomas.
Yeah. Reverend Rivers.
Yes. Okay. These were the teachers, the last group of teachers in 1970 at Patton Lane.
Oh, is that Sylvester?
Okay, I asked quite a bit of people. I called them, and I know some people thought I was just haranguing them, trying to find the actual graduation class pictures. The earliest that I could find was 1956. 1957, 1958. Go back to 56. See, Batesville High School, what do we call it? Still Batesville High School, 57, 58, 59, Batesville High School. Okay, this is a picture of the 1959 graduating class actually at school.
Okay,
I do have a
David.
better copy
Yes, you-
of that, I think. Did you get a chance to print a copy of that one?
No, not 59, I'm thinking about 69. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's in the desk that your hand is on. It's in there. It should be in there.
I don't, but I have a much clearer picture of this. And it's actually on our Facebook site, on the school site. It's a much clearer picture, and you can actually see all the faces. This is the class of 1960. The 1960 class went to Washington, D.C. This is a picture of the class.
Class trip.
1961, still, 1961, South Panola High School. I don't know why 1962 was called Batesville High School.
They went back.
By 1963, it was called South Panola County
Training school.
Training School. 1964, South Panola Training School. 1965, South Panola Training School. Now, I'll tell you a little
All right,
bit,
Lorraine.
a story. I was told that it was the class of 65 that petitioned and prompted the name of the school to be named Patton Lane, because it was on the Patton Lane Street. Pardon?
Francella County. You know, we discussed it.
John Harding was the mastermind behind that.
Francella County was the one that came up with the name.
Who did? What's
Francella County.
Francella, what's the last name?
County.
Cannon, okay, came up with the name, okay. So by 1966, Patton Lane High School. Class of 1967. Class of 1968. And my graduating class, 1969.
Now, there you go, Dave.
Class of 1969, stand up.
All right, all right.
Hey, class of 1969
Started off there.
showed up. The class, I was told that the class of 1970 did not get there, I guess with the school closing, a little bit of chaos, they did not actually get their cap and gown picture. So I called around and I finally found somebody to take pictures out of their yearbook and give it to me. You see, they wrote all in their yearbook, but hey, I got it. I got the pictures.
She let the days, she let the days.
Okay, blast from the past. This was 1967, the Quiz 'em on the Air team when this This is Pearlie, right here.
All right.
This is Faye Austin. This is Faye's brother. Which one was that? Is that Milton? Milton. I think that's Skippy.
Lionel Henderson.
Mr. Jackson and Mr. Bruce.
All right, Mr. Bruce.
That's the 67 team. Now, this is our team that won.
All right.
This is the 60. This was in 68. Connie, Chapman, Sandy, Martin, Pearlie Wilson, and me.
All right.
We participated in Quiz 'em on the Air in Memphis on, I called it Channel 5, but it was called,
WMC TV.
what was it called? WMC.
Yeah.
Patton Lane defeated all of the Mid-South teams.
Yeah.
I believe the hardest team that we competed against was actually Tate County. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
Pearlie, would you agree?
Probably so.
Yeah, Tate County was pretty good. But we won against Hillcrest High,
That's right.
who was a Memphis team. Here we are. Here's the entire team. Pearlie again, Larry Lindsay, Connie Chapman, Annie Lee,
All right, Annie.
Annie Lee Richardson, Patsy.
Sanders.
What's Patsy's name?
Sanders.
Sanders, yes. This is me, Robbie Dell Blackburn, Sandy Martin, and Tommy Friesen. Except for Pearlie was 12th grade. We were 11th grade, all of us except for Tommy Lee. My class, they graduated 69, we showed up. Here's our band. This is we have two different pictures of the band. This is the concert band. This is the marching band. We're actually same band. Same group of people. This is the high school choir in 68. Okay, I wanted to do a little history. This is the members of, some members of the class of 1968 who met Dr. King when he came to Batesville and he spoke at Mount Zion Church.
Yeah, yeah.
I also wanted to pay tribute to some of our classmates that died in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Clarence Jones, Melvin's brother. Willie Clyde Kirkendall, our classmate, our 1969 classmate.
First cousin.
First cousin, your first cousin. Johnny Robinson, Hazel Turner. He did not, Lynn Spann actually was from Sardis, Como. This is Willingham, Charles Watson Willingham, and this is his name is I don't know why I'm forgetting him. His name is Lee Curtis Taylor. A while back, I showed you a picture of Mrs. Taylor, who taught at the school for a while. That was her son. These are, I went on, in order to get those pictures, you can go on to a site, a military site to get it, and those are the best pictures that they have. Okay, we're gonna end this with somebody that everybody knows. Bobby O.J. Joe Louis Jones. Class of 1970. That's it. Yes. Any questions? Just a sheet of
Also,
paper.
you remember the National Radio Hall of Fame
Yes,
and the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
He's in both halls of fame? Okay. We lost him too soon.
Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Dad, I have a question. Does anybody know what happened to the frame pictures, after integration that was on the wall in the hallway?
Well, I have heard, and people have told me any number of stories as to what happened to some of the information, some of the trophies, some of the things. Some people told me that some of the trophies were buried. Some people told me things were taken to the dump. And some people went and got them out of the dump. I have no idea as to what happened with all of the information.
And also, I would like to share with this body, when the young lady invited me to come, I went and did some research on my phone. I don't do a whole lot. I don't Facebook and all of that, but I Google. And I found information, 45 pages, which is, and I don't have my glasses, a survey of the Patton Lane High School Library in Batesville, Mississippi. It was submitted by a young lady by the name of Robbie Jewel Robinson Henderson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so, it was a school library service. And these pages is very interesting. It talks about the location of Batesville, talks about all of the factories and all of the, just whatever is in here. Very good information, and it goes on and talk about, give the survey of the library, the purpose of the scope. It even told the number of teachers that they got the permission from the principal to do this. And it has the number of teachers. It just got a lot of information that you might be interested in. And so that's wanted to share that with you. It's too much for me to go through, but as I said, it gives background information about the community. Batesville, Mississippi, where it's located. It's just so much, the crops that was planted in Mississippi, the number of cafes, restaurants. So there's a lot of information in here that might be interested. The number of teachers, the number of students that went to the library. So much. It has a whole list of different things in here. So if you want to see this copy, you may.
Please, can I make a copy before you leave?
You may.
Before they wrap up, I want to say thank y'all for coming out. The whole purpose was for us to collect information so that we can put it and have it inside of this library. I would hope that we can have this for years and years and years to come so that everybody can read and know about the momentous strides we made here. And I think there are no little feats. They're all huge, and no matter how small you may think they are. So again, thank you on behalf of the library. I hope you've enjoyed what you've heard. And we hope to do this again. And y'all come back and we gather more.
We do have some, if you all want to look at some of the articles and different things we got out of the paper, we have some on the table for you to take a look at. As I said, this is just the beginning. We're going to do a lot more. Did you want to say anything? You don't?
Well, it would be available people want to look at.
Oh, come on, Michael.
Oh, while he's coming, I also want to let y'all know, we are doing